Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bobby Zen, and today we are going to be modeling this Valentino perfume bottle in Blender. Thanks again so much for joining me today, everybody. We are going to be doing a modeling video, not a tutorial today. You will notice that the screen keys are not up on the screen because this is more a trial and error. I recorded myself in OBS creating this bottle, not only for reference, but just to show, if anything, that, modeling even the simplest of things can be so challenging. But I love these sorts of projects because I feel like I learned so much. And what I will tell you in this particular part right here, where you see me extruding and scaling down all of those different points to create kind of that dynamic look that the bottle has, took me so long, so much research, but I did recognize that this was the very first time in the first project that the origins mattered so much. And up in that top left corner where it says normal at the moment, playing around with that global normal, where the scaling is going to go, where your models and vertices and faces are going to move, has a lot to do with that. So I did a lot of scouring the internet trying to figure that out, and I did. So again, this is not a tutorial, but more just a view into my workflow, how I created this. And if you have any questions, definitely drop them into the comments below. And with that being said, since we're basically done modeling the bottle at this point, right now I'm just beveling. I learned from Blender Guru that beveling those edges and just trying to keep the geometry as simple as possible can create really stunning results at the end. So I took advantage of beveling the top to this perfume bottle. We're currently working on, you'll see there's little pyramids kind of going around the base of the top, and this is when I knew that I could use the array modifier. I knew that the mirror modifier could be helpful in this. I knew that I was able to also array objects along a curve, and I'm just trying to kind of pull it out of the depths of my brain how to figure this out. So this, you'll see, takes me quite some time, which again is why I didn't want to classify this as any sort of a tutorial or anything. It is literally me sludging through the mud, trying to complete this project and get it done, and just use all the skills that I've learned in my Blender journey to figure this out and come out with a halfway decent result. And I think that I did. So what you'll notice here, if you see in the scene collection up at the top, it says a surf circle. That's where I messed up. So I had the idea of like, okay, I know I can array these objects along a circle, but the circle modifier was not allowing me to do so. The circle was not popping up as an option to array those little diamonds on. So I was like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Until I realized that I just was using the wrong sort of geometry. So I needed to use an actual circle, and then it popped up no problem. And I was able to start the process of getting these little pyramids around the base of the bottle. So I played around with snapping. You'll notice I'm playing a lot around with just trying to, I just didn't want to duplicate and paste. I wanted it to be procedural almost. I wanted it to be, I wanted to use a modifier because I knew it was an option. I knew it was possible. You'll notice here there's a lot of different angles, and I finally, after playing around with the coordinates of these shapes, I finally was able to get it along the y-axis and then onto my bottle top. I just played around with spacing, tried to get it as close as I could to the top. I wasn't going to do any sort of Boolean or anything like that. I didn't feel like it was necessary for this particular render, but you could Boolean it in so that it is a part of the top. I didn't feel like it'd be necessary because the bottle wasn't going to be doing much moving or anything like that. So I kind of unhide everything, double check with my reference, my Valentino reference, which using a reference has been a lifesaver for me. And it just really helps with just like scale and colors and all those things. So right now I'm actually creating a Boolean to go into the front of the bottle so that I can have a home for the Valentino logo. So Booleans are always so funny and confusing for me because, I never know what object gets the Boolean. So the reason why I literally had to do this over and over and over to get the Boolean right, but I think it's finally in my brain that the object that you want to be bullied, I don't know if that's a word, but the object that you want to be bullied is where you apply the Boolean modifier. I think that is something that I've always struggled with. It could be super common sense and I'm just like challenged in that space, but I finally was like, okay, so the object that I want to cut into is going to get our Boolean modifier, and then you're going to use that other object with the eyedropper. That is the object that you are using as your cutter, your scissors, I guess. That just kind of helped me, but that is something that I think really sunk in this particular project. So along with dealing with normals and origins, and whether we're global, normal, or any of those things up in that navigator up at the top, that matters as well. So if you find that maybe your object is scaling weird or it's moving weird, definitely double check where your origins are. If the top, I don't know what that is called, and I'm sorry, but if that little navigation next to the origin icon is set to anything outside of global, you could be having some responses to that. So now we are just in the shading area right now, and I'm just working on a way to create a transparent gradient. So I wouldn't say that I'm so well versed in nodes, but I know a good amount about nodes. So I was clear that I would need a mapping coordinate. I was clear that I would need texture coordinate, color ramp, principal BSDF. I did play a lot with the texture with these shading nodes and things like that. So you'll notice there is a lot going on here. I will also insert the final result for the gradient that I use. I will put that in there because I do hate when tutorials don't necessarily give you all that information. So this, I think, is the setup that I use at the end. But if not, definitely check in the description box for the link to just the picture of the actual geometry node tree that I use. It's not extensive. It's about as basic as this. I might have moved a few things around. I think the gradient texture ended up being factor into factor, and that did support a lot in changing the colors and things like that. So I'm doing a lot of playing with scale. I'm doing a lot of playing with where the gradient's coming from, and I love these sorts of projects because these are tiny little things that I'm going to have to do in the future, whether I'm working with a client or whatever it is. Having this knowledge is really important. So I'm basically just playing around with color. This one really gave me a run for my money as well. I was having trouble getting the colors where I wanted them to be, the scale of it, how I wanted it to be. I ended up getting there. But again, that is why I like these sorts of projects, and I like challenging myself in these kinds of ways, because when I look back on this video, I can see where I struggled. It'll bring me back to that moment where I found the solution, where I came up with the solution, and all of those things. So I hope this is helpful for anyone. If you do have any questions, again, like I mentioned, go ahead and drop them into the comments down below for sure. Now we have our bottle modeled. I went ahead and deleted the color of the plane, the background, for the moment, because I wanted to grab some clean shots, some product shots without any of the color kind of interrupting, and just get a view of the actual bottle itself. So this is the result that we came up with lighting. I'm playing around with lighting at the moment. I'm getting this nice render shot of just the bottle itself. I think it looks pretty good. There are a few things that I would change, but I don't want to be too critical on myself, as this is, the first sort of product render in this regard that I've done. I also did my Versace Absolute Crystal Blue perfume as well, but the shape of the bottle wasn't as challenging as this one because there isn't that much geometry the same way there is in this particular bottle. But I went ahead and went into Photoshop, and I just pulled the actual logo from the actual bottle, cropped it out, played a little bit with the settings, brought it in as a image object essentially, and I actually activated that in your properties where you can add an image as a plane. So I then took the JPEG of the logo, inserted it as a plane, scaled it to fit the bottle, went ahead into the settings, and I'm playing a little bit around with the metallic settings, the roughness, just to give it a little bit more of a amp up the look, make it look a little bit better. I went ahead and did a nice render of it, changed the background, which I think this is a very, very flattering color of a background. And this is really the final render. This is what it looks like with all the lighting. I kind of like the shadow on the left side. I like the darkness at the top of the bottle. I then was looking at it and I was like, okay, how can I amp this up a whole lot, and decided that I wanted to add a fluid simulation, which I am also so obsessed with in Blender lately. All the time. I love fluid simulations. I think they're so fun and cool. So I will be having a part 2 for this where we are adding the fluid simulation. But for now, the render's done. This is the product render and I think it looks awesome. I'm very proud of it. There are a few things that I would tweak, but I'm trying not to dwell on it too much, because I do think, considering I have never done any sort of modeling like this, I'm very, very proud of myself. I'm very proud of the lighting. I'm very proud of the colors and just how close to the real thing it looks. So I think that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, don't forget to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye everybody.